Jenny Bradbury, Senior Director R&D for EdTech and Emerging Technologies, A Digital Promise. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about the EDSAFE AI Alliance. What do you feel are some of the biggest challenges that exist around safe and equitable AI currently?
So there are a lot of challenges related to safe and equitable AI use in education. I think the biggest challenge from my perspective is that we just don't know enough yet about how these tools work and about the best uses of them in education. And I think we're seeing a lot of areas of innovation, both in the use of AI with adults, so looking at how AI-based tools can help make teachers' workflows, administrators' workflows more efficient, how that it can help them take a lot of time-consuming administrative tasks off of their plates so that they can really focus on the business of teaching and learning. And on the educator side, or in the classroom side, we're seeing lots of innovation around having students use these tools, learn about how these tools work, experiment with them. But while we're seeing a lot of promising practices emerge, we really don't have enough of a critical mass of folks doing the same things with these products. And also the products are evolving at such a rapid pace. So it's hard to sort of measure what's working with a moving target. And so I think there's much more that we don't know about these new technologies and their potential in education than we do at this present moment.
Similarly, what do you feel are some of the biggest opportunities that exist at this moment?
So I am really excited about the opportunities. I think we've talked a lot in this field about the opportunities to truly individualize and differentiate instruction for students, which is something that we have known is important for many, many years, and we have asked teachers to do for many, many years, but we have not had the tools to really make that feasible for them. Because if you're a teacher and you've got a classroom full of 25 or 30 students, figuring out what each of those individual students needs at any given time is just impossible. There's too much data for the teacher alone to be able to manage and make sense of. And so I think these AI tools have tremendous potential to help teachers kind of make sense of that data. And so one example that I'm really excited about is we're working with a number of EdTech developers who are building products and thinking about the teacher dashboard that is a key part of so many of these EdTech products, and how can they leverage AI to draw insights from that dashboard and make recommendations to the educator based on those insights. So making recommendations about, what is this telling you about which students are understanding which concepts, which students are ready to move on, which students might need some remediation, how do you think about grouping students based on what the data is telling you. So I think there's just a lot of potential there. I'm also really excited about the potential of AI to transform assessment and make it more authentic. I think for years we have talked in the field about the fact that we know standardized assessments are not telling us what we need to know about students and what they can and want to do in addition to where they need additional support. And that's largely because we haven't had the capacity to make sense of large data sets. So we've had to sort of dumb the test down to just focus on questions that every student could answer. And we know that there's all kinds of inherent bias that has come into play as a result of those practices. So I see folks innovating in the areas of assessment to really be able to get closer to the idea of sort of authentic performance tasks and real-time formative assessments that allow us to help support students in their learning in much more authentic ways. And so I see a lot of potential there for us to really understand much more specifically and holistically how students are performing and where there are opportunities for us to sort of build upon what they already know and where there are opportunities for us to support areas that they may need additional support.
Last question. What are the ethical implications of using AI in education, particularly concerning student data privacy, algorithmic bias, and the potential for increased digital divide?
So there are a lot of challenges when it comes to using AI ethically and responsibly in education. I think when it comes to algorithmic bias, one of the biggest challenges is that many of these models are black boxes. We can't see inside the model to understand how it is making sense of or serving up the data and what assumptions are being made within that. And we've seen already examples of AI products that are leading to biased results. So it's very hard for us to know the degree to which a product is built with built-in bias, and to be able to really ascertain that up front so that we can make recommendations to the field about sort of which products, which models to use and which ones not to. When it comes to student data privacy, a lot of the AI-based tools are being built on top of these large language models that are being commonly used, like ChatGPT, Anthropic, Claude, what have you. And each of those companies has a different set of privacy, security recommendations, protocols in place. There's a lot of concern that we have and a lot of education that we're doing right now with practitioners around making sure that they're asking the right questions of each EdTech tool as they think about whether or not to implement it into their systems, specifically with a focus on privacy and security. And then in terms of the digital divide, I think we're seeing some really great emerging best practices around using AI-powered technologies with students, but we're seeing them in pockets, and particularly in pockets where these are well-resourced schools. So I'm seeing, one of my favorite examples is a computer science teacher in California who's having his students build AI-powered tools. So they built an AI-powered fact checker when the presidential debates were happening, and they were able to really create a tool to meet an authentic need in the world, but also by empowering kids to be producers and not just consumers of AI-powered products, we are really setting them up for success in the new sort of economy and the new, society that we are all, moving forward into. But these were kids in an AP computer science class, right, with obviously a very gifted and thoughtful educator working with them. And I don't see a lot of those types of examples. I see many more examples of kids doing sort of low-level tasks where they're using ChatGPT as a writing helper, perhaps. And in the best case scenarios, they're then sort of doing a compare and contrast of their own writing versus what the large language model is producing, so that there is some critical thinking and sort of information literacy work happening. But I fear that there are too few places where people are implementing AI-powered tools in ways that are really promoting critical thinking about the tools themselves and how they're working, and more places where people are seeing the tools as just kind of a helpful assistant to get them to a particular end. So again, lots that we still need to learn about how to use these tools. I would also say that one of the things we talk about a lot at Digital Promise is the climate implications of using these large language tools or AI-powered tools. And I think that that's an aspect of this work that isn't talked about enough, but it is something that increasingly I'm hearing educators talk about, that when we're teaching our students how to use these tools responsibly, we need to think not just about sort of the implications on civil discourse and critical thinking, but also about the implications for our environment, because there are real large energy needs around the use of these tools, and so that's an important part of using them ethically as well.
That's a huge point that you made at the end, and I love the California example. Jenny Bradbury, Senior Director, R&D for EdTech and Emerging Technologies, the Digital Promise. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.